Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to Sportscast North East Sports with Bradley Young. Alongside me, we have Mitchell Guest, which is a Sheffield Wednesday fan. I was going to say Sheffield United there, from Owls on Tour. Good evening, Mitchell.
Good evening.
And we have our usual suspect guest, Paul Wilson. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, everybody.
So, we've got game week 2 of the APL predictions, which is English Premier League. Obviously hosted by ourselves, hosted by me especially, but Paul Wilson and Mitchell are our guests tonight. So, we've got West Ham versus Chelsea, Manchester City versus Spurs, Bournemouth versus Wolves, Burnley versus Sunderland, which is a massive one, Brentford versus Aston Villa, Arsenal versus Leeds, Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest, Everton versus Brighton, Fulham versus Man United, and Newcastle versus Liverpool, which is going to be one of the biggest ones on Monday night. So, we're going to go into the first game, which is tomorrow night, which is West Ham versus Chelsea. What's your thoughts on that game, and what is your score predictions? We can start with Mitchell first if you want. We'll go from side to the bottom.
West Ham, opening day, obviously 3-0 defeat to Sunderland. I did think Sunderland would walk away with all 3 points, just didn't expect it to be as one-sided as it was. Chelsea expected a much better performance than they actually did over Crystal Palace. In the end, Palace should have actually won that game. For this game, I do think Chelsea will get all 3 points, and I do think West Ham will be in all around that bottom 3 come the end of the season. Chelsea 2, West Ham 0.
2-0 to the Blues, Chelsea. Paul, what's your thoughts on West Ham versus Chelsea? What's your thoughts on them two teams?
Well, to be honest with you, I actually have to agree with Mitchell, Brad. You know, from what we saw from West Ham on Saturday, I've got to mention, because I know we did on Monday, their manager actually having a fight in the dressing room with the players at the end of the game.
Yeah, I heard about
that. Their supporters is not happy with the head coach. So sad to say Chelsea's going to win this 3-0 tomorrow.
Interesting. 3-0 to the Blues as well for Paul, so you've got a Blues win as well. My thoughts on West Ham versus Chelsea. Obviously, I wasn't expecting what time you want tomorrow for your own live on YouTube. To be honest, I might do a little preview for Burnley as well on my own around 3 o'clock tomorrow. I wasn't thinking about that, but I might do that tomorrow. But anyway, let's get back into West Ham versus Chelsea. Obviously, I wasn't expecting to get a 3-0 victory last week, especially against West Ham. Obviously, I thought it was going to be something different. I thought it was going to be like a 1-0 or a 0-0 or a 1-1 draw last week to start the season off for us. But taking all 3 points, obviously walking home empty-handed for the Hammers, they'll probably be disappointed. Obviously, they're at home this week. Obviously, they'll have home advantage, but obviously what Paul says, there was a big fight in the dressing room after the game. Obviously, all the players fell out, which is, not a great start of the season for West Ham if they're going to carry on like that. Obviously, Graham Potter as well, apparently he brought his own way up to the stage of light, and also done that on the last game of the season. He walked really his own way up. He wasn't on the team coach, so that was a bit interesting as well. But I am going to go for a Chelsea win again. I am going to go for a 2-1 Chelsea win. And if I was to say the goal scorers, I would say Callum Wilson for West Ham. I think he'll get a goal for West Ham to start his West Ham time off. And also, I am going to go for Palmer and Joao Pedro. That's my goal scorers for Chelsea as well. Second game going into this one is Manchester City versus Spurs. What's your thoughts on that one, Mitchell? Manchester City, top of the league, versus Spurs.
Yeah, both with a really good win on the opening day. Spurs, you'd expect them to beat Burnley. Obviously, Burnley newly promoted. They're going to be guaranteed relegation. Everyone's going to be predicting to finish 20th, as myself as well. Scott Parker ball does not work in the Premier League, and I was just not surprised for a 3-0 win for Spurs in that one. Man City, I did think that it would have been a lot closer than a 4-0 game in there. Obviously, Wolves are still going to be down around the relegation zone come the end of the season. They've not replaced any of their players that they've lost, like the likes of Cunha.
Cunha.
Yeah, that's one. They've not replaced him really well either. Man City, it looks like all the players are gelling together like they've been playing together for years now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in this one. For this one, I'm going to say Man City 2, Spurs 1.
Interesting. I will get my score prediction soon, but we will go over to Paul Wilson. What is your score prediction, Paul, for Manchester City versus Spurs, and your thoughts on them two teams?
It's interesting actually because I've just searched up the actual odds actually for the actual games for this weekend. Actually, they've actually got Man City to win at home 2-1. Actually, draws actually 4-1, and actually Tottenham to actually win is actually 11-2.
Oh, interesting.
By the way, West Ham and Chelsea was 4-1 at home, 16-5 to draw, and 8-11 for a away win.
Ooh.
I'm going to say actually Manchester City will win this. I'll go 1-0 Man City.
1-0 Man City. My score prediction, obviously Pep Guardiola's got them to a perfect start last week against Wolves, a 4-0 victory. Obviously what Mitchell says, Wolves will probably be down in the relegation zone. And also, City's been been off to a good start, and the players have been gelling like they have, like Mitchell says, for years as well. I actually agree with that one as well, to be honest. But I think Mitchell and me have the same scoreline. I've went 2-1 as well. Scorers for City, I've gone with Haaland with a brace, and I've gone with Richarlison for a Spurs goal as well. So that's my goal scorers for Man City versus Spurs. The next game is Bournemouth versus Wolves. Bournemouth sit in 16th spot, and Wolves sit in bottom spot, which is 20th. Mitchell, what's your thoughts on Bournemouth versus Wolves?
Bournemouth, I didn't think they played too bad against Liverpool on Friday night. I do think they was unlucky in the end, managing to pull it back from 2-0 down to 2-2. Just the quality in that Liverpool team ended up showing in the end. Wolves, on the other hand, I do think it was a really bad performance from them. As I've mentioned already, I did think that game would have been a lot closer than a 4-0 game. Wolves, again, they're going to be down there come the end of the season. If not, they will be relegated. Bournemouth, I do think they are going to be around mid-table, maybe even be a dark horse for European football next season. They've got a good manager. They've got a good squad as well there also. Although they could be losing Philip Billing to either Sheffield United or Ipswich Town in the coming few days or weeks. but I still think they've got a good enough squad to be battling for at least the Conference League spots. That being said, I do think this will be a comfortable Bournemouth win. Bournemouth 3, Wolves 1.
Going over to Paul Wilson, what's your thoughts, Paul Wilson, on Bournemouth versus Wolves?
By the way, actually, on the odds of that, Bournemouth is 17 to 20 to actually win at home. 3 to 1 to draw, and actually 7 to 2 for Wolves to actually win. But yeah, I'm going to go with Bournemouth. Our former player, Semenyo.
Yeah.
Anton Semenyo. And of course, well, they've got a former loanee of ours in Chris Betham as well.
Yeah.
I'll go 2-1 Bournemouth.
2-1 Bournemouth. Interesting. My thoughts on this one, to be honest, Wolves are going to be near the bottom, like I've just mentioned before. Bournemouth, to be honest, they have got an excellent manager, I'm not going to lie, which I think can get them European football. Either Conference League or it could be Europa League, depending on what they perform this season. It depends on that. But if I had to say a scoreline, I'm going to go Mitchell again. I'm going to go 3-1 to Bournemouth. I've actually written these score predictions down here. So 3-1 to Bournemouth. Goal scorers, I'm going to go with Valentin and Semenyo for a brace for Semenyo, and I'm going to go for Belgrade for Wolves to get off to a brilliant start, not to have their second defeat in a row. Wolves will probably get relegated, not going to lie. That's Blaze Elite Gaming. Not going to lie, I totally agree with you on that one. Wolves will probably get relegated. Next game then. Burnley. Fuck off. And we play Sunderland at Turf Moor. We are going to go over to Mitchell with his thoughts on Burnley versus Sunderland. What are your thoughts, Mitchell?
Yeah, as I've already mentioned, Burnley losing to Spurs 3-0, not a surprise really. Spurs will be getting battered 90% of their Premier League football this season. As I've already mentioned as well, that Scott Parker ball does not work in the Premier League. Maybe you'll get away with it in the Championship, like he has done last season, but in the Premier League, you're asking to be relegated in 20th place. Sunderland, I was impressed with their football against West Ham, and if they're going to play like that the entire season, I do think they'll stay up quite comfortably as well. That being said, I do think Sunderland are going to be one of them teams where you're either going to finish around mid-table this season, or you're going to be in that relegation battle, but still somehow stay up quite comfortably. I do think they are going to ease past Burnley this game. I'm going to go for Sunderland 4, Burnley 0.
Oh!
I will take that.
I will take that all day long, Mitchell. Paul, what's your thoughts on Burnley versus Sunderland anyway?
Well, the first thing is, like I said on Monday, actually, Burnley's keeper actually was the first one that got told off by the referee actually for time wasting with a new rule that they've just brought in. And we actually beat Burnley actually at the Stadium of Light 1-0 as well. I remember that game very well. But I'm sticking with what I said on Monday. 3-0 Sunderland.
3-0 Sunderland. Interesting. Well, goal scorers, Paul. What was the goal scorers again for your Burnley versus Sunderland? You might as well say the goal scorers as well as me.
Well, I'm going to say, well, because I actually listened to Rachel's press conference.
Mm-hmm.
We've got no injuries.
We haven't.
Which I am actually surprised because Jensen Seals actually went off against West Ham, but Rachel said he's okay. So it looks like he could actually come back in the starting 11 on Saturday. But my goal scorers is actually Dan Ballard, Eliza Mienda, and Wilson Isidore.
Bravo players in the chat say it's 2-0 to Sunderland. Totally agree with you on that one, to be fair. But I've gone for a different scoreline. My thoughts about Burnley versus Sunderland. Obviously, Burnley and Sunderland are two newly promoted teams. Obviously, came from the Championship last season. I think Burnley as well haven't got the... I don't think they've got anything this season. I think they're going to be absolutely awful this season. I think they're going to finish on the lowest points this season in the Premier League, to be honest. People are writing Sunderland off. I think Burnley's going to be finishing bottom. I really do. Obviously, as well, Sunderland as well, that midfield is absolutely master cooking. Obviously, with Noah Siddiqui, Habib Diarra, and Granit Xhaka in that midfield is really, really, really dangerous. Obviously, up front as well, you've got Mayenda as well. He's a massive threat. You've got a drinker on the right, a drinker on the left, Talby on the right. Obviously, that's going to be dangerous as well. Big Ballard as well at centre-back. You've got all these players who you've got to think. Ronaldo, Robin Roos in goal, Trey Hume. You could just name a whole team full of Sunderland players who have got really good confidence this season. And I really think, and don't get me wrong on this, and people might call me a bloody idiot for saying this, but I think Sunderland could probably get European football. I think they could get European Conference League. Either if it's not this season, it'll probably be next season. I really do. Sunderland are going to be fine. Stop worrying, everyone. Exactly. Stop writing Sunderland off, people. Especially Alan Shearer, especially Newcastle fans, all these writing Sunderland off.
Can I just say, look, Brad, Alan Shearer, Match of the Day has actually had a massive report because a Sunderland fan actually put a report in to the BBC about Alan Shearer's comments. The Match of the Day is not happy with Shearer.
No, they're not. No. But if I had to say a scoreline, I would say Burnley 1, Sunderland 2. That's my scoreline for this game. If I had to say goal scorers, I will go for Lyle Foster with Burnley, and I will go for Mayenda and Habib Diarra to score his first goal in the Premier League. That's my thoughts on that one. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to go down to Brentford versus Aston Villa. So Brentford's at home. Obviously, Johan Wissa pictures in training for the first time in a while with his teammates. Obviously, Aston Villa as well, drawing against Newcastle last weekend, 0-0 at Villa Park. I think got a draw last weekend, I think. But Mitchell, what's your thoughts on Brentford versus Aston Villa?
Yeah, I don't think it was an underwhelming performance from Aston Villa at home to Newcastle. I did think it would be a draw in that game, but I thought both teams has the quality to score goals. They both have goals in them. But that game just shows what they're going to be missing in Alexander Isak not playing for them this season. They're just not going to score as much goals. He obviously got 90% of their goals last season. And Brentford, on the other hand, obviously 3-1 defeat to Nottingham Forest on the opening game week. Again, Brentford, same with Wolves, are going to be one of them teams battling for their survival this season. They've lost Brian Mbeumo, Yeah, they could be losing Johan Wizard. Nottingham Forest are interested in him. Newcastle are interested in him as well. I think there's one more Premier League team interested in Johan Wizard. And they've not replaced Mbeumo well at all. That being said, for this game, I'll go with a Villa win, and I'll go with Aston Villa 3, Brentford 0.
Okay. Paul, what's your thoughts on this one?
I'm just looking at the comments. I'm just
We'll do well. We'll do well. Hopefully, Irish win Sunderland.
Brentford. Be interesting actually because of now they've got Mr. Jordan Henderson now.
Yeah.
Well, I think their manager probably the first one to go. I think. Brentford. I don't know really, but I think Villa will get this one back because I did actually watch the first half against Newcastle. Villa, I'm going to say 2-1 Aston Villa.
Okay, very interesting comment here coming from Carl Stewart. He says, has anyone seen the video of Wilson meeting Jackie on Jack Shields? Is very heartwarming. Seen it yesterday on the English Premier League, obviously Premier League official page on Facebook actually put a video up about it, and to be honest, that's really good from the Premier League that they've done that.
To be honest, I actually seen Jack's mum on Saturday. She was actually a couple of rows just in front of me.
Was she?
Yeah, I've seen her.
Anyways, back to this Brentford game versus Aston Villa. I think it's going to be quite tight. I really do. Obviously, Brentford haven't got enough quality, I don't think. They haven't replaced, obviously, Mbeumo really well, like Mitchell said. Obviously, Johan Wizard could be obviously out the door soon. Newcastle reporting a 40 million bid, 35 million plus 5 million add-ons. That'll be interesting. But do Brentford have enough in their locker to win? My question is no. Does Aston Villa have enough quality to win? Probably yes. But I am going for a Brentford 1, Aston Villa 1. I am going to go for the draw. Wilson celebrated for her, Paul. Says Carl Stewart.
This game, though, Brad, I will be keeping an eye out because we've got Brentford next week.
We have, yeah. Keep an eye out on that one. Next one is Arsenal versus Leeds United. Obviously, Leeds got off to a great start against Everton last week. Obviously, winning 1-0 from their promotion from the Championship. Arsenal, on the other hand, winning a 0-0 against Man United on Sunday. Mitchell, what do you think this one will go like? Arsenal versus Leeds?
Yeah, both teams got really good wins on the opening game week. Leeds, I don't think they're going to be in any worry of going down. Like I said before the season started, I do think there will only be one newly promoted team going down, and that is going to be Burnley. I do think Brentford and Wolves are going to be the other two going down with Burnley. I do think, though, it's going to be a battle between Leeds and Sunderland to see, obviously, who finishes higher of the two. And I do think Leeds will just pip Sunderland at finishing higher. Obviously, they've got more recent history in the Premier League. Obviously, Sunderland's got a better squad currently, made better signings than what Leeds have. But I just think that experience of being in the Premier League will just finish that slight higher than what they will. Arsenal, again, they're going to be battling for the title come the end of the season. There's no doubt about that. They beat a Man United squad, what is a really poor squad in my eyes. Man United obviously not competing in Europe this season, as Arsenal obviously are. So they've just got league focus on, and they couldn't even beat Arsenal on game one. This being said, I do think it will be an Arsenal win, but I do think Leeds will get a goal as well. Arsenal 2, Leeds 1.
2-1 to Arsenal, 2-1 to the Gunners. Paul, what do you think?
Well, to be honest, Leeds' last game, I did actually watch the highlights. I don't think that should have been a penalty. I don't know what the referee was doing, but to me that shouldn't. I know that went to VAR, but it shouldn't have been a penalty. I don't know what the referee was.
I think Everton got robbed last week. Totally, I thought they got robbed.
Yeah, David Moyes actually put a complaint in to the FA, actually, the referee. This game, I think, I'm going to say Arsenal 2-0.
Okay. Obviously, Arsenal, like I mentioned before, obviously got their 1-0 win against Manchester United, and also Leeds winning 1-0 against Everton. My score prediction here, I think Arsenal will win very comfortably. I am going to go for Arsenal 4, Leeds 0. My score predictions, my goal scorers, I've gone with Victor Gyökeres, Martinelli, Rice, and Saka to score. So I'll go with 4 different goal scorers in that game, which is mental. Next game then is Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest. What's your thoughts on this one? Mitchell, sorry. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, Crystal Palace, I do think they was quite robbed against Chelsea as well as obviously Everton was against Leeds. That as a free kick goal should have stood. It's stupid because last season the rule about an opposition player being within 1 meter of the wall was not even a thing last season. You saw so many of them free kicks get given, and it's just a joke that this season, on the first game of the season, they decide, oh no, we're going to disallow it. Forest, a really good win over Brentford on the weekend as well. 3-1 in that game. I do think it's going to be an even difficult opponent and a difficult game in Crystal Palace this time round. Obviously, Crystal Palace are coming to playing in Conference League tonight as well, so whether or not that damages the stamina as well. I do think they'll go into this game with high hopes and come out of it with a point. Palace 1, Forest 1.
Interesting. Paul, what's your thoughts on this one? Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, to be honest, I agree with Mitchell actually, because Crystal Palace is actually currently winning at the minute. I've just checked on BBC Sport. To be honest, after this game, I think they might be knackered. So, 2 games in a row, I think they could be tired. I'm going to go 2-0 Nottingham Forest.
2-0 Forest. Ooh, interesting. Bravo said Everton definitely did. Wasn't a handball, like, but you know what VAR is like. I totally agree what VAR is like. VAR is shocking. I'm not going to lie. But obviously, yes, Palace is playing tonight in the UEFA Conference League. So, like Paul said, 2 games in a row. Obviously, Crystal Palace have got plenty of squad rotation, though. They could rotate their squad around for Sunday's game. They've got a brilliant squad, I reckon, to obviously win this game. I think Crystal Palace will win, just very slim though. I'm going to say Crystal Palace 1, Nottingham Forest 0. In the score prediction for that, and the goal scorer for that one, I'm going to go with Mateta.
Palace is winning 1-0, by the way.
Palace is winning 1-0. Okay. By the way, Mateta for the goal scorer, Crystal Palace versus Forest, I am going to go for. Next game then is Everton versus Brighton. Obviously, Everton lost to Leeds last game 1-0, like I mentioned before. But yeah, what's your thoughts on this one? Everton versus Brighton, Mitchell?
Yeah, Everton again, as we've mentioned several times already, robbed against Leeds on Monday night. Although I do think in the end of that game, Leeds did deserve the win, but that doesn't justify that they got a penalty for a handball that was not a handball. Brighton, what a cruel way to drop 3 points in that game to concede. I think it was something like 96th minute against Fulham. A cruel way to concede a last minute winner as well. But I do think they're going to this game, Brighton, with their head up. Some positives to take out of that game as well for Brighton. But I do think they go into this game and drop another 2 points. Everton 0, Brighton 0.
Ooh.
Interesting. Score draw. Paul, what do you think? What's your thoughts on this one? Everton versus Brighton.
Well, David Moyes won't be happy with a game against Leeds.
No.
Well, neither will Pickford. God, this will be interesting because one of our former players is at Brighton now, young Tommy Watson.
Tommy Watson, yeah.
I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1. Bravo said the same score as you, Paul. Everton 1, Brighton 1. He said the same scoreline as you. Carl Stewart also said, has anyone have their shirts? And what ones you got? And what's your favourite one out of all three? And what's your favourite goalkeeper shirt too? To be honest, out of the first kit, the away kit, and the third kit, I would have to go. I would have to say the blue kit. I would have to say the away kit is my favourite one. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, the away kit.
Yeah,
absolutely
I
love
like
it.
the away kit. I've got them both, goal, home and away.
In my favourite goalkeeper t-shirt, and my favourite goalkeeper shirt will have to be the third one, what looks like a Wolverhampton Wanderers shirt.
Yeah, it does.
Has to be that one. So 1-1 you said, Paul. Everton versus Brighton for me. I'm going to say Everton will come out and win this one. And I'm not going to say because Brighton won't win. I think Everton's got more squad depth than Brighton, but that might be just me. People might just go, you're a crazy person, Brad, for saying that. But that's just me. We all have our opinions and thoughts. It's a podcast where we all share and different opinions. So, Brighton versus Everton, I'm going to go with a 2-1 Everton victory. And the goal scorers for that one, I'm going to go with Beto and Iliman Ndiaye, which is the Sheffield United man, former man. And also for Brighton, I'm going to go with Mitoma to score that goal for Brighton. Smile Michael. Does he not mean Mitchell? Smile Mitchell. Says Carl Stewart. Right then, our second last game is Fulham versus Manchester United at Craven Cottage. What's your thoughts on this one, Mitchell? Fulham versus Man U?
Yeah, if there's going to be a game what Man United is going to win this early on into the season, it's going to be this game. Fulham just not good at all against Brighton. Got lucky to even get that equaliser goal. Again, like I said, something like 96th minute that they've got the equaliser. Man United, I don't think they even played bad against Arsenal. Just still didn't play that good. I don't think Man United goes into this game, walks out with 3 points here. Man United 2, Fulham 0.
Man United 2, Fulham 0. Interesting. Paul, what's your thoughts on Man United versus Fulham?
I'm going to go 1-0 Manchester United.
Diallo to score?
They are.
How did I know that? Fulham versus Man United. Obviously, Man United didn't get off to a great start against Arsenal. Obviously, losing that game 1-0, like I mentioned before. Fulham as well, getting off to a point last week. But Manchester United have got to be nice to Bravo here. I'm going to say Man United 2, Fulham 1. And I'm going to go with goal scorers of... What's the goal scorers I've went for? I went for Alex Iwobi for Fulham. And I've went with O'Brien Mbeumo to score his first goal for Man United. And I've went for Bruno Fernandes to score for Manchester United. Bravo says Fulham 1, Man United 3. Being biased, but got 2 in it. And covering our last game is Newcastle versus Liverpool. Interesting one at St James's Park on a Monday night under the lights. Mitchell, what's your thoughts on this one with St James's Park under the lights on Monday night?
Yeah, obviously Frimpong is out injured as well for Liverpool. He's out until after the international break, which is a loss for Liverpool. But again, it's not because the amount of quality they've got in that defence as it is, they can easily replace him for a few games. Newcastle didn't play that well against Villa on the opening day. Obviously missing Alexander Isak as well. They're going to struggle to score a lot of goals this season. Could even miss out on any European footballs next season due to, obviously, Isak refusing to play. They've also missed out on a lot of signings this season to fellow Premier League rivals, including to Liverpool, Ekitike. I know they were set to sign him, but then he decided to go to Liverpool, as well as Benjamin Sesko. They were set to sign him, but he then decided to go to Man United. Liverpool as well, they looked absolutely quality in that game against Bournemouth. That being said, I am going with a comfortable Liverpool win. Liverpool 3, Newcastle 1.
Interesting. Paul, what's your thoughts on that one? Newcastle versus Liverpool. And obviously Isak not playing either.
Be interesting one for Eddie Howe, this one.
Will be.
I'm actually going to go 2-1 Liverpool.
2-1 Liverpool. Interesting. Obviously Newcastle didn't get off to a promising start last week, obviously drawing to Villa 0-0. Liverpool got off to a 4-2 start against Bournemouth last Friday evening. Do I really think Liverpool will keep up that against Newcastle? Well, people might be shocked with my score prediction what I've went for, but I haven't gone for a Liverpool win, I'll tell you that one, and I haven't gone for a Newcastle win either. I've went Newcastle 2, Liverpool 2. And my goal scorers for that game is Gordon and Elanga. And I've also gone with Ekitike and Mohamed Salah to get Liverpool's goals. So Newcastle 2, Liverpool 2. And that just about rounds it up for this evening's Game Week 2 predictions. I've got a copy here of everyone's score predictions, and I will see how many points each people get. It's 3 points for a victory, and 1 point for a draw, and 0 points for a loss. So let's see how many points you get for this season.
Let's hope so.
Bravo 2-2. Antonio goes 5-0 Newcastle. I really don't think it's going to be 5-0 unless you're living in dreamland. I think the only people who's going to score with you on that one is good winners. I don't think Asula has got no chance how to score a goal. I don't think he's got the... Let's just leave it as that. But we'll wrap that up now, guys. 40 minutes exactly. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like. Really appreciate that if you do. We will be back on Monday night for our review of Sunderland versus Burnley. And also on Monday night, we will try and get Huddersfield Fan TV on for the Tuesday night one against Huddersfield. And we'll probably do a separate one for Saturday against Brentford. I'll see if I can get a Brentford guest on as well for Saturday. Also as well, score predictions for game week 3 will be out next Thursday. So come along for that one as well next Thursday evening at 9 o'clock again. But yeah, it's been an interesting one this evening, getting everyone's opinions on game week 2. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next